So vehicles are now very connected. Auto manufacturers considered new cars as connected vehicles. If you have a new car, you want to see the technology in that car that's fully integrated there. These cars are using cellular and satellite networks, and they're being analyzed by the U.S. Department of Transportation to confirm vehicle-to-vehicle safety applications, so communication from one vehicle to the next on the road. GM, Ford, BMW, Lexus, and other companies are paving the way for this technology. And why are they doing this? Because younger consumers are demanding that they have technology inside the vehicle. It's now more important than ever. This is the demographic that's now going to be buying more vehicles. We're going to move on to the next slide now. Mobile internet inside cars. So mobile internet is made possible by network connectivity through cellular devices, as we talked about. However, distance from cell phone towers and location factors into the quality of reception. So sometimes the quality is not always as great as it could be. There's also going to be something called in-vehicle networking and cloud computing, which is just like what we've seen on laptops and other devices. Vehicles will be able to share location data and engage in communication from vehicle A to vehicle B. So if a family's traveling with two cars, they can engage with each other. Okay. Now, I also touched a little bit on BMW Online. So that is a system where I can search for news, weather, things like that. New cars, the service is free for the first 3 years. After that, it will be $99 a year for that service. On used cars, it will also be a feature, but you have to pay for it if it's a 2000, I believe, 12 and newer. Users can browse news, you can look up gas prices that we talked about, and this engine is powered by Google. And also I want to show you something neat here with BMW Online. So I'm going to go back here to Connected Drive, BMW Online. I'm going to give it a moment to load. Talked about the internet connectivity. And I'm going to go back over BMW Online, give it a minute here. I'm going to come up to news. We're going to take a listen here to what the headlines are for the day. Top news. And we're just going to pick one of the headlines here.
Clinton tries again to crack highest glass ceiling with White House bid. By Jonathan Allen and John Whitesides. New York, Washington, Reuters. Hillary Clinton will try again on Sunday to crack what she calls the highest and hardest glass ceiling when she starts a long-awaited second run for the White House as the prohibitive Democratic frontrunner.
Okay, so as you can see there, the news can be read aloud to you, so that makes it a lot easier than trying to read it as you're driving, which can be a big safety concern. Also, you cannot stream videos through the internet on this car. That is a technology that is not included at this point, so I can't pull up YouTube and watch a movie or anything like that. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next slide. Car navigation system. So the old style navigation was pretty basic. It was a map on a screen. That's about it. The new navigation systems use interactive traffic information and can route you in real time. So I'm going to show you a couple features on our navigation system here. So I'm using this button to go back to navigation, going over here, and I can come down here and see traffic info. So I can see a traffic list. And there's no traffic information available at this time because I have not routed to a destination yet. But I can come under here and say traffic information. I can change the map there to have the traffic come through, and I can actually receive traffic information to the car. So this screen is much more interactive than it used to be. However, people are still using their phones as navigation devices because of networking capabilities. The phone sometimes just has a lot faster connection. And also Apple's Map app allows you to use Siri to give turn-by-turn directions. So some people still are using their phones rather than a built-in navigation system. We're moving on to the next slide now, questions about navigation. Why should you use a navigation that's built in when a smartphone can essentially do the same thing? This is a big question. It's because a car's navigation system is so much safer than using your phone. With a Bluetooth connection, you can also pull up the point of interest search and make a hands-free phone call from navigation right to your phone. And with voice commands, you never need to take your eyes off the road. As I demonstrated earlier, it's a lot safer than having your phone in your hand as you're trying to drive, which is actually illegal in most states now. Moving on to the next slide. Federal regulations on cars. There are many regulations that are put into place now. We're looking at federal regulations that will mandate car-to-car communication that I touched on earlier. Services will automatically call for help in an accident, so that's going to be seen on other cars, not just BMWs now. They will keep track of the vehicle's driving habits. Also, central car computers will be the equivalent of a airplane's black box, so to speak. So it'll track, if you're in a collision, how fast was that person driving. It'll keep track of important data there. Also, the car can read back speed and other factors. However, there's bigger privacy issues. Who owns the data, and do drivers give up the data when they go in for a service? Now, when you go in for a service with BMW, you can hand the key over to your service advisor and he can read all the data on your key. So the question is, do you own that data or does someone else? It'll also include technology that enables vehicle communication with other cars, traffic information there. U.S. government includes new rules requiring future vehicles come with Wi-Fi technology, so that's something that's probably going to be required in the future, and it's necessary for cars to communicate, and the goal is to prevent accidents. That's the biggest goal that they're trying to achieve. On to the next slide now, looking ahead to the future. There was a Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas that was held last January, and it revealed current trends. Ford Sync and My Ford Touch were installed in 79% of new 2013 Fords, so this was revealed there. And also, GM plans to install 4G LTE on all new models in 2015. And Google purchased something called Waze, which has 50 million subscribers for more than $1 billion. And they've now included Waze data onto Google Maps. So that this is going to be a trend that's going to continue from now throughout the imminent future. On to the next slide. Let's talk for a moment about driverless cars. We've all seen this in the headlines. There are cars that can drive themselves, and they're already being produced as I'm making this video now. The Google car is the most prominent car that we can think of, and every auto manufacturer is building some sort of technology that's based on radars that would be included on driverless cars. On to the next slide. The intro of driverless cars onto American highways is already happening. They've been tested out in the Midwest. California, Nevada, Florida, and Washington, D.C. are implementing laws for these types of cars. But the target is going to be commercial vehicles, including buses, taxis, and storage trucks. So this will be the main technology that's going to be included there on these types of cars. Are they going to be safer? On to the next slide now. Many hazards are reduced, including driver fatigue and night vision hazards if a car drives itself. This is what some research has shown. Goal is to prevent collisions. Optic sensors can be used to help a car keep in its designated lane. Google's research team has said that self-driving cars can reduce road hazard fatalities. Currently, 30,000 accidents are recorded every year, and those include those deaths. In the United States, there are more than 2 million injuries that are also recorded due to road accidents, and the goal is to reduce injuries by up to 90% with driverless cars. On to the next slide. Smart cars and electric cars. Let's talk about these for a moment as well. These have been in the works for years now. The Infiniti LE prototype was released at the 2012 New York International Auto Show. This would include an elaborate system of electronics inside this car. It uses navigation, gesture recognition, pupil tracking, and fingerprint recognition there as well inside this car. Also, electric cars are more than popular now. BMW has introduced the i3 and the i8. As of last year, the i8 can drive up to 94 plus miles on a full charge. It also has a gas capability, so it's using electric and gas hand in hand. Charging stations can be installed at a customer's home. It uses solar power energy. Charging stations can also be found at various garages and other popular shopping areas and grocery stores in major cities such as Philadelphia, New York, Boston. We're not seeing them so much in the rural areas yet because electric cars are more than popular in the bigger cities, but we do know that they will be a trend in the future. On to the next slide now. What's going on now are infotainment and entertainment in cars. This is the most prevalent thing we're seeing, the trend in telematics. These cars are connected, they link drivers to their social media. With BMW, there's an app you can install on your phone and you can see your Facebook, Twitter, web radio, calendar on that screen that I showed you earlier. Cloud computing, so integrated wireless technology, the social car. So the concern would be, is someone going to be tweeting and Facebooking at a red light? Would this person be sending traffic delays or roadside accidents, reporting those to other people while they're supposed to be driving? So this is a concern for people now, including the government. So, and in the future we're looking at direct streaming. Maybe Netflix will be in different cars, and it will allow passengers to download and stream movies in the vehicles. Since less and less people are using DVDs, they want to have the streaming technology there. And voice recognition, of course, is getting better than ever and preventing drivers from being distracted. We're going to move on to the next slide now. The cost of these services. How will car manufacturers charge for these services? They may build the cost of these technology features into new cars, or they may charge them a monthly fee. It depends on the car manufacturer. However, we do know that there will be a fortune that can be made in advertising, and Google has already signed a deal with Kia to have advertising inside the vehicles. And Apple's announcement of CarPlay will give Google and Android competition. On to the next slide. Internet radio in cars. More car companies are using internet radio, that's web radio, and Pandora also is so popular now in cars, and they will start using in-car advertising. More than 4 million people have already used Pandora in cars that are equipped for it. And what about vehicle gaming consoles? This is an idea of the future, having Xbox, PlayStation for kids to play in the car. So this is something we can look forward to as a future trend. And with self-driving cars, there's no need for you to drive, so maybe you can play your Xbox and watch Netflix all at once while you're going on that long family trip. On to the next slide, I'm going to talk for a moment about factors to watch. In major cities, people want auto intelligence, so they want to navigate to different areas, they want to have the navigation built in. It's estimated that 104 million vehicles will contain some form of connectivity, with integrated telematics reaching 88% by 2025. That's a huge deal. So people are going to be looking for newer cars with all that technology integrated now. US will lead sales with 16 million new cars by that time. Also, European Union and Japan and other nations will follow. US government is creating regulations for future vehicles, knowing that technology will be included on almost all vehicles in the future, and they're saying that they must be equipped with Wi-Fi technology beginning sometime next year. On to the next slide. Looking ahead to the future, cars will be able to talk to each other when a driver is slamming on the brakes or making a turn or signaling for a lane change. That's going to be a huge deal for your car to recognize what's going on with the car ahead of you. Other drivers can react to those cues and help avoid accidents. Driverless cars will communicate directly with each other, and this could create breakthroughs in auto insurance and could even help lower your premium, believe it or not. Two major trends will be mobility and data analytics in the future. However, I would like to pose a question for you to consider and to write about in the discussion board. The innovation in technology can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing all at once. Original equipment manufacturers, we call them OEMs, they're fearful that liability issues will come up when you're supposed to have your hands on the wheel, but instead you're playing with your Facebook and your Twitter on your car computer system. So GM and Ford have already done tests to ensure that drivers are keeping their hands on the road. But my question to you is, do you feel that technology in vehicles such as Wi-Fi and Facebook that's integrated in the car will create more safety concerns for the future? If you could please answer this question and post it in the discussion board, that would be great. That wraps up my presentation on car telematics, and I'm looking forward to speaking with you all on our discussion boards. Thank you. Communication students, thank you so much for joining me on our journey as I talk taught you so much about automotive telematics. I hope you learned a little something next time you go into a dealership. As for me, I am leaving the New York Auto Show now, and I hope to see you on our discussion boards.